So I have an announcement to make, and the announcement is that we're about to say goodbye to our weather data. Our weather data has served a really great purpose for us. As I've mentioned multiple times, it's given us this small, fully visible data set that we can use to try out new tools in Excel and actually see what's going on with it. And so it's easy for us to connect mentally with what we think should be happening to our data with what we're actually doing to our data. So it's been a very valuable learning tool. But life isn't as simple as this data set. And often we're working with much larger data sets that haven't been reduced and simplified the way the weather data set has been. So why am I saying that this weather data set, that this spreadsheet is reduced and simplified? Well, if you remember from when we first got these data, what we understood is that every single one of these values is an average over 30 years of the daily low temperatures, an average over 30 years of the daily high temperatures, and so on. So we already have some manipulation done to this data set. We already have a summary of a much larger data set that somebody else did for us. But that's not always going to be the case. Let's think about, for example, our census data. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over and show you our census data so that we can look at that in comparison. So here we have a view of our census data that we've worked with a few times. And here, hopefully, you can see exactly the issue I was talking about how our weather data are summarized and simplified, but our census data are not. For example, we might want to know the average something for the state of Florida, maybe the average total personal income for the state of Florida. But we know we have many, many, many other states in this data set, and so it's not easily presented to us the way it would be in the weather data. Maybe further, we want to know our average total personal income, not just in Florida, but divided up based on an individual's sex of male or female. We know how we can do this. This is something that we could apply some functions to solve for us. We could use average ifs, for example, and we have multiple conditions where we have an average ifs condition for the state of Florida and an average ifs condition for male or female. So we know how to do this, but that would be a little bit clunky. The question here is how can we do this quickly and easily and efficiently? And the answer is in pivot tables. Now that we know how to use functions and how to summarize data and manipulate data, we can then step into the most efficient way for doing this, which is using a pivot table. What I have shown here is the output of a pivot table on the census data. You'll notice that it's in a separate sheet in our workbook. So we can present a data summary like this of a large spreadsheet like the census data without fundamentally changing our census data. Our census data are still on the original spreadsheet. We haven't had to manipulate it at all. What we've done is we've created a pivot table in a new sheet that gives us the summary that we want. In this case, it's a summary, just like I said, of the average total personal income for each state divided up by sex. And here we see for Florida that we have a difference in total personal income based on sex in the state of Florida. So this is the summary we were after. I was able to accomplish getting this state-by-state summary divided by sex, averaging total personal income in a matter of just a few clicks and drags. That's what pivot tables can do for us. They are a very powerful and efficient way of summarizing data so that we can get a large spreadsheet like the census data spreadsheet down to something smaller and manageable like the weather data spreadsheet. And then once we have a pivot table report like this, we can quickly convert it into a plot or chart, just like we've done with our original data previously. So what we're going to be working on in this section of the course is we're going to be working on how we can create these pivot tables and then what we can do with them once they have been created. This is the most advanced skill you'll learn in this course. This skill is going to synthesize a lot of the other skills that we've worked on. And this skill is something that's going to be very valuable as you move forward using Excel in your future.